to the Property Unleashed with me, Mark Fitzgerald. It's fantastic to have you joining me here today. So today I am joined by a special guest, Chris Wills, who is one of the partners or directors of WSM, the Property Group. I always put the in there. It's not the Property Group, though, is it? It's Property Group. So excuse me for that. It's great to have you on, Chris. How are you doing today, my friend?
Yeah, great to be here, mate. Yeah, I'm doing really well, thanks, Mark. Always good to catch up with you and have a little chin wag and do all the podcast. It'll be great fun. But yeah, doing really well, mate. Very, very busy.
Good. Well, let's hear about it all. I always love to get people on that are involved in property, that are building up their property businesses and looking to grow from strength to strength. And Chris is the same. I've always got on well with Chris. I've known him for a good few years now, been following what he's doing. He follows me, and we every now and again we seem to, our paths cross and we end up in a bar or two, don't we?
Yeah, I've had a few very big hangovers, and I am blaming you 100% for those ones. I'm sure you do the same.
Yeah, I do. It's going to get messy. If Chris and Mark get together, it's going to get messy. But no, if you could just tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, please, mate.
Yeah, sure, mate. So, as you know, or some of you might know, I did Mastermind, the Somersetshire Mastermind back in 2020 now, which was a bit of a weird time to be doing it. Obviously, with COVID, pretty rife at the time, so we had to pivot and do a few of our workshops on Zoom because the country was in lockdown, which was really good actually of PIN to do that and sort of adapt to what was going on, but it was nowhere near as good as doing it in person in the hotel. So fair play to Simon. They sort of clubbed together and let us do the additional workshops again. The ones that we did on Zoom, we got to do again in the hotel. And it was just, really, really good of them to do that because I know a lot of people don't, a lot of training providers didn't do that. So yeah, I did that and absolutely loved it. Met loads of people, including yourself. And, it's really changed my life because I was just on the corporate ladder. I still am for all my sins and climbing that. And I kind of thought that was it. I had a single buy to let and, like I say, I thought I was made then. So yeah, Mastermind really, really changed my outlook and the way I look at the life in general, not just the property side of things. And since then went on to win Mastermind top performer, which was a very proud moment. A little bit unexpected because there were people in the room absolutely smashing it, but we did a couple of deals throughout the Mastermind year that really accelerated our business. Something I thought we would be doing in 4 or 5 years' time, not in 6 to 12 months. And I think that it just shows the power of Mastermind and PIN in general. It helps give you that confidence to go out and do deals that you just would always be a bit nervous of beforehand. So yeah, that was that. And we're obviously based down in Devon, so we do all our investing down here. We're in a small town called Oakhampton, and that is where all our investments are actually. Not necessarily that's what we're choosing to do. It's just because the deals are on our doorstep, and whilst they're there, we're going to do them. Once they dry up, we'll spread our wings a little bit. But most of our investing is going to remain down in the southwest for the foreseeable because we know the area very well. We know what works and what doesn't, and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's a little bit about the last few years, and business has grown exponentially, even in the hard times of COVID and all the aftermath that has come out of COVID, with the market going a bit crazy one way, and then now it's starting to go the other way, lending rates going up and everything like that. So yeah, a lot going on, and it's really, I suppose, if we can get through these tough times, we feel like we can get through anything. And a lot of people have said that if you can get through what we're doing now, then you should be fine when the market gets back to normal, shall we say.
I think it just shows you as your community, as an investor, that there is no best time to invest. There is just a time to invest. So the numbers stack. If the numbers stack when the market's rising, great. If they stack when it's dropping, great. It's really all about, you've only really got to worry about that if you're obviously refinancing or selling or anything. If you're looking for cash flow as well, then the numbers don't lie, do they? So just going back then, when you obviously you joined and you did master. What number mastermind were you?
Mastermind 30. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Were you a Saturday lot then?
Yeah, we were a Saturday lot because what were you, 28, 29?
27.
20, sorry, 27. Yeah, we did it on
27.
Saturdays, which was ideal because it meant I could finish work on the Friday and then travel up, or sometimes, skip out the afternoon at work and travel up on the train and then sort of have a chilled out evening on the Friday. We'd always go out, have a couple of drinks and a curry or something like that, and then do the workshop on the Saturday, and then I'd travel back down. Yeah, it worked quite well.
A chilled out night. When have you last had a chilled out night?
There were a couple of times, mate, I was in the workshop and I was a little bit ropey. I'm not going to lie. I'm easily led. That's the trouble.
I know that feeling. I think I was on my mastermind year. We were the elite Friday lot, so we were more hardcore because we were obviously doing it during the working week. But I'm only kidding. So going back, we're going to end up in a bar a lot here, I think.
Oh, I can see it happening.
You had a buy-to-let, so you obviously knew about property. You knew we all have an inkling about property and things, but obviously doing something like 12-month program, mastermind program, it is a big commitment financially and of course on your time as well. And when you went into the mastermind program, what sort of strategies were you thinking about doing?
I'll be honest, man. So because I did the accelerator, I was going to stick to like single lets because that's what I had and it just seemed easier. I then wanted to sort of like look at HMOs and stuff like that. The difficulty is when you get taught the different strategies, you suddenly think, oh, that's the best one. And then you get taught another one, oh, that's the best one. And you get what's called like shiny penny syndrome, don't you? And you end up trying to do a bit of everything. But no, I've stuck with single lets at the moment. Where are we now? It's July. Pretty much a month ago, launched our first serviced accommodation. So I want to get into that a little bit because of where we are in the country as well. It sort of lends itself to that. So one of the big deals we did was a block of 6 flats, and the basement we're now using as a serviced accommodation. And we started advertising it, like I say, about a month ago, and we are full until the end of September now, apart from like about 10 days worth of bookings. And that's just gone crazy, which is great. And we're now going to try and start targeting contractors to go in there. Because there's some huge projects going to be starting in the next year or so down here, like a new train station and stuff. So, and that will hopefully, if we can get in the right doors there, that will allow us to stay full or maintain a good occupancy level throughout the winter months when the holiday season obviously falls off a cliff. So yeah, we're doing a bit of service accommodation, but mainly single lets. We have now pivoted into doing commercial to residential conversions.
Okay.
Which is a bit more of a complex strategy. And that's probably what we're going to focus on for the time being, mainly because that seems to be where there's more deals. The numbers do stack a bit easier. But what we found on our first project, which is still ongoing, is a massive, massive learning curve in comparison to just doing straightforward house refurbishments and stuff like that. So it's been a big learning curve, but it's been a good one. And it's given us confidence to go out and do the bigger commercial to residential type deals that we're doing at the moment. So yeah, that's what we're focusing on now. But I am going to be looking at a couple of HMOs because I am still in a full-time job. I would like to give that up. But unfortunately, I think Simon uses that expression of golden handcuffs, right? And I think they've got me well and truly by those at the minute. And but I've got to be careful. I've got 2 kids to feed, a mortgage to pay, which has just increased quite a lot, as we all know, unfortunately. Yeah, that was fun. But yeah, I want to get a couple of HMOs under my belt for the cash flow, and then I can seriously look at giving up my job in the next, I don't know, year or so, perhaps.
Cool. And are you looking at purchasing everything?
Yeah. So we've done very well in raising private investor finance so far. We just went hell bent on a mission right at the start of our business to do it, and goes to show the power of social media. Even if you've not got any deals going on, I was just blabbing to everyone every time I was on a mastermind workshop. You do the classic selfie and blab it out there and everything. But the good thing about that is people see that you're taking it seriously, and you have open conversations. They say, well, how much does it cost? You tell them, and they're like, oh, wow, you're willing to invest that amount of money on yourself. You're obviously looking to do this properly. And that, I think that potential investors a lot of confidence in what we're doing. And we got our first deal over the line pretty quickly after I started Mastermind, which helped as well. And we just started raising little loans here and there, friends and family, the classic, bleed them all dry, pretty much. But 10 grand here, 20 grand, then it started getting bigger and bigger. And I think to date, we've raised about 1.6 million in private finance, which is unreal. I never thought we'd be doing that, especially after, we've been in business now about 3 years. One of those years you can almost say was not necessarily a write-off, but very difficult with COVID and everything going on like that. But for example, our latest purchase, it's commercial to residential. We bought that cash solely using a private investor. He's bought that for us. And we're now just going through the various hoops to get development finance on it with a commercial lender to then do the works. But it's all stuff that I never knew was a thing up until doing Mastermind. Just really didn't even consider that I could borrow tens of thousands off people, and now hundreds of thousands at a time. And it's just, it's crazy. But you've really got to put in the legwork to get this. It doesn't just land on your lap. And I think that's where a lot of people tend to fall over. They see people raising money left, right, and centre and think, well, how's he doing it? And I'm putting in, I've done 3 or 4 social media posts. I've had a few chats, and it's not materialising. Well, I could tell you now, I've been told no more times than I care to count in comparison to how many times I've been told yes, and someone's actually stumped up some cash when we need it. But that's really helped us. And again, wouldn't have happened without Mastermind. Didn't even know it was a thing. And it gives you the confidence to go out and start having these conversations with people and sort of, it's kind of like selling an opportunity, aren't you? When you're going down the route of raising private finance. And a lot of people do that the wrong way round. They start asking for money, and you've got to know you're selling an opportunity to an investor. And you've just got to position it correctly to raise that money. But that's where most of our purchasing has come from recently. In terms of our own money, we had I remortgaged my house at the start and pulled out about 30 grand. My business partner had similar, and that's all we had to go on, really. And ever since then, it's all been no money down, none of our own money down for all of the deals we've done since. It's all been private investment, bridging, development finance.
That's really impressive. Really, really impressive. And to have raised, that total of money over the last few years is something else. And it just goes to show that, you have to put yourself out there. You have to be taking selfies, just posting. A lot of people think, I ain't got time to post all the time. I always say, if you're involved in property and you want people to get involved, just start taking pictures of anything. A house that you're looking at, a property that you're looking at, a development, take a few selfies. Just stuff. You don't have to post it all as once. And then what you see is they put out a post with 10 pictures on. And I think to myself, do you know what? That's 10 days worth of posts, really. So you got to think like that. Just don't put everything in one post. Have a couple of posts, do it different days. Put it out. This is something we've seen. This is something we've seen. And it just gets people to see, Chris is interested in this property. He bloody posted about it every day. I'm following. But you know what I mean? I might ask him about it. Is the other thing, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
You say no. But no, it's good. It's good. And of course, just getting yourself out there and just chatting to people. And we can sound like a broken record to ourselves because we're almost saying the same thing all the time to different people, aren't we? But it's all part and parcel of the business, isn't it?
Of course it is, mate. And it works,
Yeah.
But again, I've met people in the last couple of years, or 3 years now, I suppose, that I just never thought I'd be meeting, rubbing shoulders with people who are massively more successful than me and have been doing it for 20 years. And and you need to do that because it brings you up to that level. It drags you up, whether you notice it or do it consciously or not. It does happen. And I've always been a sports person for all my life, so I'm naturally quite competitive. So when I'm seeing, I always remember Simon always said, Mastermind is not a competition. And well, I'm thinking, it bloody is for me. Yeah. But, it was great because everyone's like, well wishing each other, all wanting each other to do well. And when you see someone across the table from you smashing it, you think, I want a piece of that. So
Yeah.
it naturally just drags you up. And yeah, that little bit of competitiveness in you is certainly needed, I think, just to keep you going, because it's quite easy to give up. You can have awful days where things collapse. All the deals we've done, I've lost more deals than the deals we've done, loads of them. And it's really frustrating. Or you feel you've got an investor over the line and then they just get cold feet or whatever and decide to invest in something else. And it's so frustrating. And you can start thinking, is it really worth all this effort? But it is. I can tell you that for nothing, it is.
Well, a lot of the deals that you do, of course, you can spend a couple of grand, can't you, just trying to get some surveys done to see whether it's actually worth doing.
Yeah.
So, and that can be scary to people. That can be frustrating to people and things. But
Yeah.
I mean, one of the questions I'm quite interested in it, because you've got a young family as well. You've got a full-time job. You're doing the property investing. How do you fit everything in?
Mate, I ask myself that quite often, to be honest. I neglect the family and just haven't seen them for weeks. If only. No, it's well, take that bit out.
We'll edit that. No, that's why we're like we are when we're off the leash.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With no family in tow, it's like, well, we got a whole pass. Let's go.
That's it, mate. Yeah. No, it's hard. Don't get me wrong. And I think going into business with my business partner Ed has been, massive in that regards, because he's able to pick up the slack when I'm stuck in work meetings and stuff like that. And I think Ed and I have been friends for years before going into business together. So that's really helped. And he's got a bit of time as well. He's self-employed. He has got a young family as well, but being self-employed, he's got a bit of more freedom over his time, so he can put a bit more time into that when I can't sometimes. But I'm quite lucky in the job that I do. I'm an IT architect and I do a bit of consultancy as well, so I can work from anywhere. So I can catch up in an evening sometimes with my job. They're quite cool about that kind of thing. So yeah, I make it work, but sometimes it can be hard. Especially with the young kids, you know what it's like. They can throw a curveball in any now and again when they're not intentionally, when they have a sleepless night because they're ill. Maybe it is intentional, actually. I say it's not intentionally. It can be hard, but if it's your dream and it's something that you are absolutely committed to, then you just make it work. You just do.
Good answer. Well, that's the answer I was actually looking for, because as I say to anybody, if you're listening to this and you're getting into property and you're just starting, you're finding it hard, that's where you need to have a bit of passion for what you're doing. You have to have a higher purpose for what you're doing. You have to give it a bit more of a meaning. Then potentially, we all get into this because we want to make money, but it's having that sort of legacy piece or that retirement piece or something for you in the future, which property can give you, because if you keep hold of the assets and you own the assets, then you've got something behind you, so to speak. It's a bit more of a comfortable place to be than obviously if you haven't. But to say that it's not the work-life balance, I don't really think exists, because at times you'll put more into your work, and at other times you might have a bit more time to put into the family or pub. So at the end of the day, it really is finding that balance to making sure that the family's on board, and I guess you get the support that you need from your partner.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah, couldn't agree more. And sometimes I think actually they're one of the drivers as to why I'm doing all of this. And it comes back to what I was saying with my job. I enjoy my job. I wouldn't do it if I didn't, but I am at someone else's beck and call. So that's the bit that's frustrating, and that's the bit that drives me on all the time to say, this will come to an end soon, hopefully sooner rather than later as well. And that's what keeps me going forwards, to know that I won't have to attend meetings because someone needs me there or whatever. It'll be on my terms. There's always going to be a point where obviously you need to bow to other people's timescales. That's life. But generally, I'll be able to come into the office whenever I want, go to the gym at the times that suit me. And so on, and just spend more time with the family and be able to go on holidays whenever, and not necessarily have to book annual leave to do it and things like that. And that's the thing that just drives me forward all the time.
Yeah, the time freedom is massive. Just being able to do what you want to. You still work more. I do. I work more now than I did when I had a corporate job. It's but I do the things that I enjoy, so it doesn't always feel like work. So it works. It
Absolutely.
works well. So you say you want to get a couple of HMOs. You've got a little bit of commercial going on the go. You've got a bit of serviced accommodation. You've got a bit of a mixed bag there. Obviously,
Yeah.
your SA unit's been booked up. It's the right season for you right here, right now. Of course, are you not thinking of trying to grab a few more units this year for that and just get a bit more cash flow coming through with those?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, as I sit here and talk to you, we have had a tenant hand in their notice. So on one of our single let flats. So we are sort of toying with what we do with that, whether we just go back to normal single let and carry on. We are looking at some schemes where we house refugees, because you get you can set up like 3-year lease deals with the local councils or various companies that represent the government to do that. And so we're thinking about doing that. We've actually inquired today, and we're going to have a conversation later this week with one of the companies that do that, because being a landlord's great, but when a tenant hands a notice in, you're like, oh, it's not the best news on earth. It's not the worst news in some instances, if that makes sense. I know with the demand where we're based is through the roof, so I've got no issues about it being rented out. I could have a tenant move out on Friday. I could go in over the weekend, and new tenants would be in on the Monday. That's what it's like where we are. So it doesn't phase us at all. But we are looking at these other schemes where you basically lease it to a company for 3 years, sometimes longer, sometimes a bit shorter, and you almost set and forget about that property for that entirety. So, like I say, even though I can get tenants in pretty quickly down here, it's just the hassle of having to do it, and the admin that goes with that. So we're looking at that now potentially. Yeah, we might go down the holiday let route as well, but that's a lot more hands-on at the moment we're finding, but it can be a lot more lucrative, as we've found so far with the existing one.
Are you managing the existing one then yourselves?
At the moment, yeah, I've teamed up. Well, I say I teamed up. My wife and my mother-in-law have teamed up to do the cleaning of it and sort of day-to-day bits and bobs that go along with that. And so far, like I say, we've actually got our first guest. They're in there right now. So far so good, but we'll see how that pans out as time goes on, based on their availability to do it all and stuff like that. And it's quite good that way, because they'll look after it more for us. They'll clean it a bit more thoroughly. They'll let us know if there's any issues. They'll suggest improvements and so on and so forth. So yeah, technically we do manage it ourselves. Yeah, we use like a channel manager, so it feeds it down to all like, well, you know the score, don't you, with that? So like Airbnb and Booking.com, etc. But we do want to start targeting contractors, because you get your Monday to Friday booking with those. It's one clean a week. We might even be able to do it where they leave on the Friday. We get some guests in that want to stay at the weekend, and then so you're doing a Friday, Monday clean. But we'll just see how it pans out. But at the moment, it's pretty full with holidays.
That's brilliant. I think if you're happy with it as well, I mean, it's hands-on. That is the whole kit caboodle at the end of the day, which, as you say, when you start out, sometimes it's good to do things like that, because you can really see the nuts and bolts of it. You can see whether you think, this is quite a lot of work, or you can think to yourself, it's not actually as bad as I thought. And, with a few systems in place, could quite systematically put different things here and scale it and grow this. And of course, potentially, if you've got the wife and mother-in-law knowing what they're doing as well, they might even say, well, we'll manage that side of the business for you. I love all this sort of thing.
Yeah, they might say, yeah. And look, you touched upon a good point there. I'm very much like that. I like to do stuff myself first to know what's involved with it. Then if I am going to hand that responsibility over to someone else, I know A, what I'm handing over, and B, how I want things done, like what sort of standard needs to be maintained. You're dealing with guests and how you are with guests and stuff like that. I don't like to just hand stuff over, because then I don't know what's falling short. But at least if I do it myself for a little while, yes, it's a lot of more work, but only for a little bit of time. And then I know if I can hand it over, I know exactly what I'm handing over and how things need to be done. And it goes back to when you say there about systemizing. I know what systems need to be put in place and what procedures need to be put in place to meet the standards that we want to maintain.
That's it. And of course, you can even write out your own procedures and systems so that if somebody comes in to do that job, you can say, here you go, this is what we want, this is how it should look, take pictures of, we do that in my essays, is have a picture of how it should look before a guest turns up. So certain things in all these different places, plants and flowers, there's everything looking smart and tidy. And of course you can say, is this the layout? It makes it stupid simple for people, but then the systems yourself, and nobody can pull the wool over your eyes either. A lot of people get caught in a trap of continually just doing the doing, so to speak, and then they never want to share the profits, or they can't grow because they're trying to do everything themselves. Yeah. We're not saying that, but we're saying get your hands dirty, have a go, and then if you can systemize it, give it to somebody else and just do the bits and bobs that you want to do yourself. But I think it's great. So going back to your new project that you've got over the line at the moment, what are you actually going to be doing with it then?
We've got two at the moment over the line. We actually did an open day last week where we had various investors from the local area come down. I think there was about 15 or 16 of them. It was a brilliant day. They loved it because all our projects are in a sort of close proximity. So they got off at the train station. We went to our first project, which was the flats that we completed last year. So they could, and one of the tenants kindly let us look around his. And they were blown away. And that one included the holiday let we were just talking about. So we looked there, and then we went to our project that's just all been ripped out. So it's literally back to bare bone. It's a mess. We had all the plans out on A1 for them to see what's going in. And then onto the latest deal, which hasn't been touched yet because we're still going through planning on that one. And so they could the whole day they could see a before, during, and after of what we do, and they were really impressed with that, and it got us a lot of traction, which is really good. So with the latest one, that is currently a massive cafe downstairs, and upstairs is just a huge open space which is used for like judo classes and stuff like that. When we bought it, it had planning for 4 masonettes to go in the uppers, and the cafe was going to be sort of divided up into 4 smaller units downstairs. We've changed that slightly. We're cutting the downstairs in half, and half will remain the cafe, and the other half will either keep as a larger retail unit or split that down to 2 smaller ones. We're undecided yet. And then upstairs, we're going for 5 flats instead of the masonettes, mainly because our architect has looked at it and said the original plans would fail just about every building regs going, which is quite surprising, but also scary that these other things these other schemes get put together that would never pass any regulations. So we had to change it drastically. And we kind of lost some of the appeal to it a little bit, but getting the additional flat in that we've now done, A, increases the GDV a little bit, and B, means we can still make a really nice scheme out of this. And then the idea is to keep it as a mixed use unit going forward. So we'll title split it. So the uppers are on their own title, and then the commercial entity remains on the same on a different title, and then we can get different types of lending across the whole property, and obviously increase the value as well.
Brilliant. And you're looking at keeping hold of this?
Yes, yeah. Our number one exit for all our projects is to hold for the long term.
Yeah.
But the current market and the rates and everything like that, it might dictate that we have to sell one, and then the next project would keep, and then sell, and so on and so forth. And the beauty of what we're doing, so that the project that's currently at its rip out stage, that's going to 5 flats. It was a commercial unit before, but that's all going to be flats, 5 of them. And we might title split that, because then that gives us the flexibility to sell 2 or 3 of them and keep the other 2 or 3, or sell 4, keep 1, or sell the lot as one big unit, or sell them all individually. And although we've got in our heads what we want to do right now, we don't, the market could change quite dramatically. That project's going to be about a 6 to 8, maybe 9 month finish line before we finish it. So we can make our decisions nearer the time based on what the climate is. And that's the beauty of what we're doing. You've got multiple exits. Like I say, our number one's always to hold and rent. But if the market dictates otherwise, then we can look to sell instead.
No, it's good. It's good. It's good to have multiple exit strategies if need be, or of course holding on to it as well. And it sounds like it could be a little cash cow as well, with the way what you're doing to it. So that's always good. So, I mean, the thing is with with that sort of strategy, it's exciting, it's fun, it's frustrating, it's a whole host of things. But you have got to wait as well, haven't you? It's like you say, 9 months, potentially 12 months to actually get everything up and running over the line and actually get it to. But what an asset you will have at the end of it all. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Now, and how did you come across that deal, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, of course, mate. So the first one that's at the rip out stage was word of mouth. And again, that's testament to the social media posting and just telling people what you do all the time. It's funny because, people ask me what my job is. I say I'm an IT architect, and they fall asleep by the time I finish telling them that. They don't want to talk to you anymore. But if you tell them you're a property investor and developer, anyone wants to talk to you. Anyone, whether they know anything about it or not, I guarantee anyone will want to talk to you about it. And then they could be so off in their views of the property market and everything like that, but you just entertain the conversation with them, right? But it's a really good way to find potential investors as well. So yeah, we got that one through word of mouth, and we went and spoke to the owner of the building and just had a look around, and we told him we'd structure it as an option agreement, and we told him why, because it had no planning on it whatsoever, and pretty much agreed that and the price and everything within 10 minutes of meeting him. It's exactly what he wanted. It gave him that peace of mind. Obviously, we made him aware if we don't get planning on it, then we'll have to go our separate ways. But we were quite confident we were going to, because there was a couple of commercial units 30, 40 yards up the road that had been converted to flats a couple of years ago. So we kind of knew, we didn't know, but we had a pretty strong inkling that we were going to be fine. And we were. And then the last one, we actually went to the local council planning meeting when they talked about our scheme. Just wanted to get an insight of what they talk about and maybe field any questions if need be. And they talked about this other scheme whilst we were in it. And both Ed and I were sat there thinking, cool, I like that one. I didn't know they were doing that with that property. And the owners got the planning, they got it in. And then, I don't know, 2-3 months later, it came up on the market. So we were straight in there, straight into them, and sort of, started negotiations straight away. And this one was where we were able to negotiate a good deal because we were cash buyers, thanks to our investor who was buying it outright for us. So yeah, it all starts snowballing from there.
It's just getting out there at the end of the day, putting yourself out there and getting out there. And it's, as Simon always says, your network is your net worth. And it is just putting the feelers out there, but keeping your finger on the pulse as well. And I always think talking things into existence, they were talking about that potential deal. You were like, oh, I like that. I want to do something like that. And the next breath, you are.
You are, yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. So is that the one we looked at one, didn't we, with a garage underneath?
No, that's not the one. That's still on the market, by the way. And I'd like to have another conversation with you.
Yeah. And then the pub as well. That pub was interesting.
Yeah, that's still on the market.
Is it?
Hasn't budged.
I knew that people.
I knew that one would hang around for a long time. It's such a niche thing. And I think he's asking far too much for it, but that's my opinion.
Yeah.
But that's probably why it's been on the market for over a year now.
Well, that's it. So it's really, what his pain point is? You know what he needs?
No, I haven't really had a chance to chat with the vendor himself, to be honest with you. I've been sort of hitting that barrier of the estate agent there, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I reckon it's go on the old land reg and get his details now and have a conversation, because he's probably going to be quite motivated. And it really is just finding out what he wants and needs, isn't it? You know yourself. I'm saying it more for the listeners than your good self, because you're always out there doing these sort of things, but getting those conversations going.
Yeah, of course, mate. And like the one that we got through word of mouth was we were answering or providing a solution to his problem. So he was trying to sell it as an ongoing concern. So for those that are not sure what that means he was running a business from it and he wanted to sell the business and the property as one. He'd been trying to sell it for about 8 years. He was getting older, wanted to retire. So they decided instead, let's not sell the business, let's just sell the property. So we were in there, and like I say, we were able to offer him the certainty that we would proceed with the purchase, assuming we got the planning. And that's what sealed the deal for us on that one. So you're right. Yeah, it's all about answering people's problems. And with the last one that we purchased, they went and got the planning on it. And I think they were toying with doing the work themselves, but they went out and started getting quotes based off just the planning drawings, and they couldn't quite get their head around the fact that no one can really price it until you've got building regs drawings, because then that tells you exactly how much insulation, material, all that sort of jazz. So they had a QS, quantity surveyor, come and price it. So he was able, all he could do was give them worst case scenario on everything, just in case. And the work came through at a phenomenal amount. And I think that's what put them off doing it. And the health of the husband was deteriorating quite significantly. So yeah, we were able to tie that one up quite quickly for him, sort of, so they could get rid of it and then just move on with their lives.
That's cool. That's good though. Like you say, as soon as you know the problem, you can go in there, you can help solve and give them a solution. So the future, we always, we all like to have a vision, a dream, and everything. What does the future hold for Chris? What are your aspirations?
Oh, I hate being asked that.
All right. I can't say the next one.
To carry on doing what we're doing, Nate. Bigger and better deals. You know, I know some people, you'll know them as well, that are doing deals in the millions all the time. And I want to be getting to that stage. Obviously, I need to give up my job as it stands to be able to do that. And I think once these two deals are done and dusted, I'll be in a really strong position to do that. We've got our existing assets, which are cash flowing nicely, and these should start bringing in the lump sums and cash flow if we decide to keep hold of them. So yeah, that my goals are to build our business, build that legacy, and really just be in charge of my own time. You know, a lot of people go into business, and you touched upon it a lot earlier about, you want to make money, which is obvious, but you want to make money so that you can have the time freedom to do what you like when you like. And that is something, because I've been in employment since I can remember. So I've never really experienced, I've had little tasters of what that's like recently, when I've had days off from work to then focus on the business and do stuff. And you think, this is what I want to be doing 100%. So yeah, aspirations, mate. Keep building the business, start doing bigger deals along the lines of what we're doing now, and then really go and hit the big leagues.
Happy days. I like it. So about this time, I normally like to ask I say it's a quick fire round. It's just some questions. I call it a quick fire round. It's questions that I'm always interested in the answers, and I think a lot of the listeners are as well. So if you're all right, can I ask you some questions?
I can't say no to that, can I? I'm going to regret saying yes, I feel. Go on, then.
It's the sort of thing we chat about at the bar anyway. So, you'll feel
that isn't, no one wants to hear that.
It's good stuff. So, what's the best advice you've been given?
Dedicate yourself to it 100%. Whatever strategy it is you do, go all in. Otherwise, there's no point.
Nice. Who said that to you?
Don't know. I say it to myself quite a lot.
Hey, it's a good thing to say. I like that. It's a lot. I'm going to have to listen to that again to get it all. But now it's good that. If you could have dinner with 3 people, dead or alive, from any industry, any form of life or whatever, who would you like to sit down and have dinner with?
Oh, you obviously, Mark.
You can't have me, because that's boring. That is.
3 people.
I'll meet you in the bar afterwards.
Yeah. That's a toughie. I'd say Richard Branson for sure. Big fan of what he's done, and big fan of what he's still doing, I suppose. Cool. This is meant to be quick fire. I'm gonna have to think about this one long enough.
It doesn't have to be that quick.
Yeah. Would you say 3 people? Yeah, Richard Branson's definitely one. He's someone I look up to quite a lot. I'd probably have to say Simon Zucchi, if I'm being honest with you, because doing what he's done and what it's done for yourself and for me is massive. And just to sit there and hear a bit more about I don't want to hear about his time at Cadbury's anymore. I've heard that more times than I can count, but I
sat down the other day and had a conversation. We weren't at dinner or anything, but I sat down and had a chat with him the other day, and he's an interesting guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine he is. Yeah, and I've had a couple of informal like dinners with him and stuff like that, but not proper ones. And oh god, I've completely forgot his name. Who's the serial investor that everyone
Don't
knows?
bang.
Sorry.
Don't bang. You're doing your mic in.
Oh yeah, sorry. This is embarrassing now.
I'll edit this bit out then, eh?
Yeah, please edit most of it. I've completely forgot his name. That's how bad is that? It can't be that.
Serial investor.
Yeah. I can't remember his name. This is so bad. He's got loads of shares of Coca-Cola and Apple and stuff like that. Really old.
Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett. That's it. Jeez, how do I forget his name? Warren Buffett.
Loads of shares of Coca-Cola.
It's just too many sleepless nights for the kids, mate.
Oh, that's good. That's probably the best. So let's recap here because I've lost my memory now. Richard Branson, Simon Zurich, and Warren Buffett. That's a pretty good table.
Yeah, I like to think so.
That'd be good. That'd be good. Do you have top 3 podcasts that you like to listen to?
Property Unleashed, obviously. That goes
good
without saying. I like and the Property Podcast by Rob Dix and is the other Rob as well. And Dan Hills is very good. Really like Dan Hills. That's good value that because he talks about a lot about property, but just business in general. And he's walked the walk, which is also very good.
Oh yes,
yeah. So they're the ones.
Very nice, very nice. Yes, it's good. A top 3 books don't necessarily have to be property related, but if they are, that have really helped you.
The Art of Negotiation is it Chris Voss? That one.
Yep.
I find that one
never split
amazing.
The difference.
Yeah, never split the difference. That's it. I've listened to that a couple of times. Yeah, you knew what I was on about though.
Yeah.
And there's Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's amazing. But he does the cash flow quadrant. That book, and I found that one a lot more useful and it's really relatable as well. And I've just finished listening to one. It almost sounds really vain saying this, but it's called How to Get Rich. It's literally that's the title of it. And that's a fascinating book to listen to because it's all sort of life stories and how this guy came through various trials and tribulations and got to where he is. So yeah, those are the ones I'd recommend for sure.
So you now know how to get rich.
The book tells me how to do it. Whether
Nice. No, that's good. That's really good. That's really good. Well, I would like to thank you for joining me here today. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, my friend. And I have missed you because I haven't seen you for a little while. So we'll have to have a catch up at some point. If anybody wants to reach out to you, maybe there's some potential investors or anybody like that, what's the best way to do so, mate?
Various methods, mate. I'm on Facebook. I'm busy on LinkedIn as well. So if you just search my name on there, you'll find me and my ugly mug. And my email is just simply chris.wills@wsmpropertygroup.com. They're the best methods. But I'll always respond to anyone that reaches out to me for sure.
Brilliant. And have you got any final thoughts before we wrap this one up?
Well, it's been great talking to you, mate, and catching up as always. I'd just say to anyone that's getting into property or been in it a little while is just never give up. Don't let the market dictate necessarily what you do. There's that famous saying of turn left when everyone's turning right. There is a lot to say about that, and it takes a little while to grasp exactly what that means, and it's very easy to follow the masses. Sometimes that's the right thing to do, but I'll be honest with you, most of the time it's not. So just be brave, be really brave, and just trust your gut for sure. If you're in the PIN network or any kind of property network, use it. Like Mark said earlier, your network is your net worth. If you're unsure of stuff, someone within your network will have been through what you're going through, or if you're not sure how to analyze a deal properly or whether the numbers stack, just ask. People will always help you, and that's what I have found so far.
That's really good. That you should have your own podcast,
No, people get sick of listening to me, mate. Just ask Ed. Ed's kicked me out of the office for this.
I know. It looks like you're in a prison cell.
Yeah, I know. It's boring and plain in this one. Yeah.
Very nice. No, that was brilliant. Good advice. Good final thoughts. Been an absolute pleasure and a joy to speak to you. I'd love to get you back on as your projects are progressing as well, to maybe dig a bit deeper into those, if that's all right with you.
Sure.
And yeah, been great to have you, mate.
Nice one, mate. Yeah, it's been great being here. Thanks for having me.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, feel free to like it, subscribe, share it on your social medias, and feel free to tag me and Chris into any social media posts that you are sharing it in. Why? Because what goes around comes around, and we can help each other that way. Make sure you have your vision. Make sure you are moving in the right direction. You are chasing your goals, and all you have to do is break those down into bite-sized chunks. Make sure you know what you're doing and get out there, take action, and come and join me in the next episode. You take care, and bye for now.
Cheers, guys.